welcome to a new flipped learning lesson. We're actually going to move now into L230 sentence revising. This lesson starts out quite a bit like a review, and then it's going to move into newer concepts. We're still working on our writing skills and combining sentences and making better sentences. So this is a very good lesson. Make sure that you have some paper ready to take some notes and that you are ready to write down questions because you're going to be bringing several of these with you to class. So let's get started. All right, let's just start off by reviewing first about what actually makes a sentence. We know that a sentence is made up of a subject and a verb, and it has to express a complete thought. But then we started talking about making more than just a simple sentence. So let's talk first about the word independent clause. Independent clause is just a fancy way of saying a sentence. Sentences, as long as you have that subject and the verb, they can stand alone. But then we started talking a lot about making some complex sentences, and we started using our subordinate conjunctions. And once we started using subordinate conjunctions, then we get to the word dependent clause. A dependent clause will always start off with a subordinate conjunction, and then those words cannot stand alone. So here's what you need to know. Independent clauses, I'm going to pull up my hand tool here. Independent clauses can stand alone. That has a subject and a verb, and we call these the main idea. So if you're taking notes, you want to make sure that you know that the independent clause is the main idea of the sentence. It's going to contain that subject and the verb, and the major thing, y'all, is that it can stand alone. It's a standalone sentence. The dependent clause, on the other hand, will not be able to stand alone. It cannot function by itself, but your key thing I want you to look for is a subordinate conjunction. Okay, so let's really focus on that main clause and the dependent clause. Again, in order to really get into dependent clauses, y'all, we're back to our subordinates. They're still up in the back of the room. Here we go again. That's why we haven't taken those words down. That's why we are still talking about words like because, since, while, when, after, although, even though, if, as if. All of these words begin dependent clauses. Dependent. If you're dependent, you cannot stand alone. Remember tax season. Dependent clauses, that's you. You're dependent. You can't stand by yourself. You can't live by yourself. Whenever we use these words to start off clauses, we're giving dependent clauses, things that cannot stand alone. Look, here's an example. If DeAndre would listen. Well, how in the world do I know whether or not this is a main clause or dependent clause? It's all about the first word. And what is this first word? It's if. And what is if? A subordinate conjunction. And subordinate conjunctions begin what? Dependent clauses. So when I read the words, if DeAndre will listen, I automatically know because of the word if here that I do not have a main clause. I have a dependent clause. Also, if DeAndre will not listen, it's not a complete sentence. Okay? So how can I make it into a complete sentence? I will need a main clause. Look at this. If DeAndre would listen, those words stayed right here. This clause is dependent. Why is it dependent? What word? If. If we start off with a subordinate conjunction like if or because or since or although, you are creating a dependent clause. You do not have a complete sentence. We ended up now having a complete sentence because we added he will pass the class. This is considered the main clause. Why? Your subject is what? He. What's the verb? Will pass the class. So this is considered to be the main clause. It can stand alone. Let's pretend if DeAndre would listen, we're gone. So let's take our pen here and let's just scratch that out. Okay, let's scratch it out. He will pass the class. You have a complete sentence. He is your subject and here's your predicate. Will pass the class. So this is considered to be your main clause. The dependent clause are the words up here at the front. And we're going to erase this now so that we can see if he would listen. Okay? Let's go to the next slide. The acrobats who are from Russia are very talented. The acrobats who are from Russia are very talented. Now within here there is a main clause, the actual sentence part that we can pull out and it can stand alone. Can you find the main clause? Let me help you with the first one. Well, we have some words that are interrupting this sentence, and those words are who are from Russia. Notice when these words came in here and interrupted this sentence, notice they came with some commas. So what we're going to do to help ourselves out here a little bit is that we're going to highlight all of these words who are from Russia, and we're going to pretend like they're not there. If we do that, then we are left with the acrobats are very talented. That is your main clause. Once we got rid of this relative clause, who are from Russia, we're left with the words, the acrobats are very talented. Let me see, can you try another one? The wolf howled after the rain. Can you find the main clause? The main clause again is your independent clause. The subject and a verb, there should be no subordinate conjunction. So the easiest thing for you to do is to know, well, where's the subordinate conjunction? Can you find it? Yep, the word after is your subordinate conjunction. So write this sentence on your paper. The wolf howled after the rain. Take your pen or a highlighter, and I want you to start at the word after. That is your subordinate conjunction. That means all the words after it could make the whole clause. After the rain stopped. So once we have highlighted it, we're going to label this as the subordinate clause, okay? This is your subordinate clause. That means the only words that are left, the wolf howled, this is your main clause, okay? Here's your main clause. It can stand by itself. The subject is the wolf. What did the wolf do? It howled. Okay? Now, here's your last sentence. Close the window because it is raining. I want you to write this sentence down and be prepared to tell me the answer to this one in class. So take a moment, pause this recording, write down that last sentence, and I want you to underline the subordinate conjunction, and I want you to circle the main clause. Now try these. I would like for you to write this on your paper. In sentence 1, Mr. Brown set the timer. Sentence 2, he burned the popcorn. Here are your instructions. The first thing I want you to think about is how can you combine these two sentences with a subordinate conjunction. So I want you to choose a subordinate conjunction. I'm going to help you out a little bit here. I want you to use the word although. So I want you to combine these two sentences on your paper using the word although. Now, since I've given you the subordinate conjunction I want you to use, pay attention to the instructions here. I would like for you to combine these two sentences so that the second sentence is the main idea. He burned the popcorn should be the main idea. It is your main idea, which means the word although cannot be the first word of this sentence. All right? So put these two sentences, Mr. Brown set the timer, he burned the popcorn. Combine these with the word although. Let me write this up here. You're going to combine these two sentences with the word although. We're going to combine with the word although. But I want this sentence number 2 to be the main idea. Remember, your main idea sentence does not have the subordinate conjunction. I'm kind of walking you through this one so you almost simplifying this as easy as I can. I want you to combine the two sentences with the word although, but I want the second sentence to be the main idea. That means that the second sentence should not have the word although. Kind of giving it away here. So although is going to go with which sentence? That's right, the first one. So you would say, although Mr. Brown set the timer, he burned the popcorn. Let's analyze this sentence to make sure that we've done this properly. I asked you to combine the two sentences using the word although. Then I told you I want the second sentence to be the main idea. That simply means that sentence 2 should not have a subordinate conjunction in front of it. Okay? Again, if you want whatever sentence you choose to be the main idea, should not have the subordinate conjunction. The word although then gets attached to Mr. Brown set the timer. I want you to look at another sentence. I also want you to write this down because you're going to bring this to class as well as the sentences that you just said. Look at the first sentence. I was hungry. The second sentence is, I bought all that junk food. Listen carefully to your instructions. I want you to figure out which sentence, A, B, or C, combines these two sentences so that sentence 1, I was hungry, is the main idea. I want sentence 1, I was hungry, to be the main idea. What does that mean? Think about what main idea means. What's not going to be attached to the words I was hungry? In order to get the answer, you're going to need to bring this to class, and then we'll go over it together to see if you got it correctly. Let's move on. Now, what have we really been looking at here? We've been looking at complex sentences. Complex sentences use a subordinate conjunction. Here those words are again. They're not going away. When, after, since, while, as if, where, until, unless, although, even though, or most of your subordinate conjunctions. Now, within this lesson, you're going to be asked to combine short sentences to make complex sentences. Well, how do you make a complex sentence? You simply use a subordinate conjunction. Write this down. I hate Cullen. I have a crush on him. These two sentences are pretty short, and I want you to combine these two sentences and create a complex sentence. The only way you're going to get a complex sentence is that you have to use one of these words here at the top. Well, how do you decide which word to use? Should I use when? Should I use unless? Should I use while? Well, think about it. I hate Cullen. I have a crush on him. Well, those two things are opposite each other. You hate somebody, but you have a crush on them. So which one of your subordinate conjunctions deals with putting opposite situations together? Can you think of one? I'm thinking even though or although. Look at here. These two combine things of opposites. So here's my sentence. Even though I hate Cullen, I have a crush on him. Well, the sentence stayed the same. I hate Cullen. I hate Cullen. I have a crush on him. I have a crush on him. How did I create this and make this complex? I just simply added even though. Now, maybe you chose although. Maybe you put it differently. I have a crush on him, although I hate Cullen. However you put it together is fine. The point here is that I made it complex by using the words even though. So again, a complex sentence is created when you use a subordinate conjunction. What about a compound sentence? Do you remember what makes a compound sentence? Hi, do you remember your fanboys? Your for and nor, but, or, yet, or so? These conjunctions give us what we call compound sentences. Taxes in Foxwood are low. The schools there are good. So in order to pull these two sentences together and create a compound sentence, all you have to do is two main clauses or two sentences that can stand alone. Remember, main clause does not have a subordinate conjunction. Okay? So all we did was keep the sentences the same, and what did we combine them with? We used and. Of course, we have to use a comma because whenever you have two sentences pulled together, you're going to need a comma here. Okay? Why is this important? Here's your practice that you will need to bring with you to class. The kittens are in the barn. We keep the dog in the house. What I would like for you to do is to create a compound and a complex sentence with these two words. I want you to combine these two sentences using a fanboy. Then I want you to combine these two sentences using a subordinate conjunction. Now, when you listen carefully, because here's going to be how I know if you paid attention or you really looked at this assignment. I want you to make the second sentence, we keep the dog in the house, the main clause. What does that mean that you have to do there? Okay, one more time. When you go to make this a complex sentence, we keep the dog in the house needs to be your main clause. I realized that that was really short. It's just simply an introduction to you knowing the difference between a compound sentence that uses a fanboy, a complex sentence that uses subordinate conjunction. And then once you are creating complex sentences, I need you to be able to know what's the main clause, the one that doesn't have the subordinate conjunction, versus the dependent clause, the part of that sentence that does have the subordinate conjunction. This was pretty quick. I'll see you in class to talk about it more.